Hey, how you doing? So recently I saw Thor: The Dark World, and today I'm going to review it. Now, before we get started, this review will contain spoilers. It will contain a lot of spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie and you do not want it spoiled for you, you have about 10 seconds to leave. Alright, so if you're still here, it means two things. You have either seen the movie, or you have not seen the movie and you just don't care about spoilers. So let's get started. So the main plot of Thor: The Dark World is basically thousands of years ago. There was a race of beings known as the Dark Elves, and they tried to send the universe into darkness by using a weapon known as the Ether. Warriors from Asgard stopped them, but their leader Malekith escaped to wait for another opportunity. Now Malekith has returned, and Thor must turn to Loki for help. Now, Thor, Loki, Jane, Sif, Fandral, and Volstagg must do anything to defeat Malekith and the Dark Elves. There are so many great things about this movie. One is that you learn more about the characters, specifically Loki. You learn a lot more about Loki. You learn where he learned to do everything he knows how to do, like the magic he can do and all his tricks, and where he learned all that. Turns out his mother, Frigga, taught him how to do that. Let me tell you, Frigga, the Queen of Asgard, she is awesome. There's a scene in the movie where she is fighting Malekith, and man, she is badass. Another thing I liked in this movie was the relationship between Loki and Thor, which is incredible. They have great chemistry together, the two actors, Chris Hemsworth and Tom Hiddleston. They work very well together. And it's very interesting to see them together in the movie because it's fun and they mess with each other and they joke around, but they also are very serious and they don't trust each other. So there's these different layers of these characters that really come across. One of the things that is very, very cool in this movie is there's a scene where Loki and Thor are walking down a hallway, a corridor, and Loki is changing his form to mess with Thor. He's making Thor see him as other people. And one of the people he makes Thor see him as is Captain America. Yeah, so Captain America has a small role in this movie, and that's pretty cool. It's not really Captain America, it's Loki pretending to be Captain America, but it's rather fun. Now, another thing that was very, very cool about this movie is how Loki faked his death, which is very, very cool. So basically, if you remember, I told you he changed his form, so he has that ability. Now, Loki and Thor are on the Dark World, and they battle Malekith, and Loki makes Thor see him get stabbed through by Malekith, when really, he didn't. But you don't know that he didn't get stabbed through yet. The thing with it, you see later in the movie, that exact place he got stabbed, somebody else standing there. Somebody else, a different person, an Asgardian person, but not Loki. And you see him basically kind of walk away. And I thought, wait a minute, Loki can change his form. What if he changed into that guy, right? Then you see a little bit later, you see that same guy in the throne room with Odin. And he says, there is no sign of Thor or Jane Foster on the Dark World. But he said, but there was a body discovered. Odin says, Loki. And then you see this guy, and his face turns into this, like, Loki evil grin. It's just right there I knew, okay, that guy's Loki. Then, at the very end of the movie, Thor and Odin are talking to each other, and the minute Thor leaves is the minute Odin changes into Loki. Loki either killed or has Odin somewhere, and now he is on the throne. He got exactly what he wanted. He's king of Asgard. Another great thing about this movie was the end credit scene, which was amazing. The end credit scene basically sets up Guardians of the Galaxy. It shows Sif and Volstagg go to visit the Collector, who is played by Benicio del Toro, and they're going to give him the ether for safekeeping. Then you find out that the ether is actually an infinity gem for the Infinity Gauntlet, and he is looking for all 6 infinity gems, and he basically has 1 and he's got 5 to go. Now, there was one thing in this movie I didn't like, and I wasn't a fan of, and that was that the Warriors 3 in this movie, Sif, Fandral, and Volstagg, they don't get enough screen time. They're in like, and total, not even like 40 minutes in the movie. And that's sad, I think, because they're such good characters and such cool characters, especially Fandral. Fandral is awesome. So I was very sad that they weren't in a lot of the movie, and hopefully if there is a Thor 3, which I hope there is, might not be, but I hope there is, I hope that these characters will be in that movie more. However, everyone in the movie was fantastic. All the actors were great. Chris Hemsworth was fantastic as Thor. Tom Hiddleston was incredible as Loki. Natalie Portman was good as Jane Foster. Jamie Alexander was great as Sif. Zachary Levi was great as Fandral. Ray Stevenson was great as Volstagg. Anthony Hopkins was great as Odin. And Chris Eccleston was great as the villain Malekith. But I gotta tell you, when I was watching this movie, every time Malekith was on screen, I thought to myself, that's the Doctor. That's the Ninth Doctor right there. Overall, this movie was really good. I mean, it was a really good movie. I thought, in my opinion, it was better than the first Thor. But I wasn't that big of a fan of the first Thor. I didn't like it that much. I thought this movie was a lot better. I recommend you go see Thor: The Dark World. I recommend you buy your tickets now. Just go today. Skip work. I don't know. Skip school. Go see this movie. Do not forget to go check out the MRTV Facebook page, the Whovians Unite Facebook page, the Real Doctor Who Fans Facebook page, the DC Cinematic Universe Facebook page, and the Mortality of Justice League Mortal Facebook event. Links to these pages and events are in the box below. Please go click on them, check them out, and show your support for them. I'm going to go, and goodbye.
Before the universe, there was darkness, and it has survived.
On November 8th,
let us begin.
Witness the return of an Avenger.
Your world will be extinguished.
You know, with all that power, I thought you'd hit harder.
Thor: The Dark World.
I'm impressed. Thank you.
Rated PG-13, November 8th.